So let's figure out how to do the DAPPR test on a particular source. This is a journal article called The Middle Passage and the Material Culture of Captive Africans. So for my topic, I'm interested in what made the Middle Passage, or the Maafa, such a terrible crime against humanity. So that is what I'm trying to research. And so I found this scholarly journal article called The Middle Passage and the Material Culture of Captive Americans. So I want to do the DAPPR test on it to figure out if it's a good source for my topic or not. So the first thing, if we look at the DAPPR test, is to look at the date. When was this information published? Is it out of date? Has it been updated? So let me take a look. We can see that in the source section, this lists when our source was published, March 2009. So this is about 11 years old now. So right off the bat, looking at the DAPPR test, we know we can't give it a 3 because the information is not 5 years or newer. It is 11 years old. So we have to decide, are we going to give it a 2, a 1, or a 0? We don't give it a 0 because that is reserved for if we don't know when the information was published. We know it was published in 2009. Do we give it a number 1 or a number 2? 1 is for if the information is out of date for the topic. 2 is for the information is older but not necessarily out of date, because some topics might not need extremely up-to-date info. So let's think about our topic. Our topic is the Middle Passage, which is, happened, 500, 300 years ago. So happened a long time ago. So in my opinion, I don't think we need super new information on that topic because it happened so long ago. I think something that's 11 years old on the Middle Passage is a fine source. So I would give it a 2. So I'm going to highlight that right now so y'all can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we gave it a 2. Moving on, author. We need to figure out the author's credentials. So let's take a look. It was written by Jerome S. Handler, and now we do have a little author affiliation here. But all that told us is that he's from Charlottesville, Virginia. So that's not too helpful. So I'm going to Google good old Jerome S. Handler. Now, who knows if something will come up when I search this name. But Google's so smart. JeromeHandler.org. This seems correct. Let's click on him. Jerome Handler is a senior scholar at Virginia Humanities, formerly the Virginia Foundation for the Humanities, in Charlottesville. He's a historical anthropologist who specializes in the early African diaspora, particularly in the Caribbean and the Atlantic slave trade. Okay, so this man's research focus is on the Caribbean and Atlantic slave trade, which would make him perfect to talk about the Middle Passage, right? So that makes me feel great. And so if we go back to the DAPPR, how we score this, if we give him a 3, it would be the author has credentials that show they are an expert in the topic. 2 is the author is a journalist, or the information was written by a known organization. 1 is the author is an expert, not an expert, but has some knowledge in the topic. Or 0, author's not qualified to write, or we don't know who wrote it. This man has credentials. He focuses in knowledge of the African diaspora. It looks like he has a degree in this field. He works for a company that focuses on this topic. So I'm going to give him a 3. Great. Moving on to publisher. Who published this? Source, Slavery and Abolition, is the name of the journal that published this. So we need to find out, was it scholarly? Is it a magazine? What kind of source is this? Now, if I scroll down, I don't really see a lot of information about this, but I do see that there's a link that I could click on. So let me click on this link. And this gives me the information for this. It says that Slavery and Abolition is an academic journal. It says that it is peer-reviewed, and that it is devoted to a discussion of the demographic, socioeconomic, historical, and psychological aspects of human bondage. So I'm going to give that definitely a 3 because it's a scholarly journal and it deserves a score of a 3.